Alright guys, if you've made it this far in the class, that means that you've done the different units on, or the different lessons on drawing. You've seen many different ways to take your ideas and get them on paper so that you can convey them to others. And now it's time for us to take your inventive skills and your drawing skills and your communication skills and put them to the test with the Arctic Innovation Competition. So in today's video, I'm going to go over what the competition is, how it's judged, and how to handle your first assignment regarding the Arctic Innovation Competition in my class. Okay, let's go ahead and jump right into it. The Arctic Innovation Competition has been around for, maybe a little less than 10 years, maybe 10 years. And basically what it is it's an idea competition. So people submit ideas, and then a panel of judges are going to look at those ideas and talk about which one they think is the best. And there is money involved. The money involved with this competition is not a scholarship. It does not go to the school. It goes to you. And I'll talk about the prize money in just a minute. And they're basically they want to reward students for being creative. They want to reward students for taking initiative to submit their ideas. They want to reward students for practicing their presentation and communication skills. It is put on by the UAF School of Business Management, and I think it's really an amazing event for our community, and I'm really glad that they do it. So basically, I do want to say that this project is going to be, it's notorious for being the most challenging project in the class, and that's because it involves a lot of writing. It also involves trying to invent something that somebody hasn't invented before, which can be really, really hard, but I think it is very possible. And I know it's very possible because we've done really well at the competition, number one, in the past. And number two, I see article after article after article in the news. High school kid invents X, basically gets hired by Elon Musk. I made up the last one, but you can be in high school and come up with a great idea. I see stuff on infomercials all the time that are probably making millions of dollars that a sixth grader could have thought of. So I know that you can come up with cool ideas and really awesome ways to communicate those ideas. So let's jump right in with what happens at the competition and kind of what to expect. Remember, the engineering design process is we kind of are focused on a problem. So many of you may have already thought of ideas for the Arctic Innovation Competition. If you have, that's great. What I want you to do today is kind of start with that idea and figure out what problem it solves. Every single item has a problem that it solves. This is just a water bottle. There have been cups for, thousands of years. Why is this hydro flask something that is unique and something that is marketed? Well, it does more than just what a regular water bottle does. The problem it solves is things not staying the desired temperature for a very long period of time. In a normal water bottle, you put ice in the bottle and it's going to be melted in like an hour. With this thing, depending on the temperature, it's going to stay cold for a very, very long time. So that solves that problem. It also solves the problem of, keeping people hydrated. I guess the regular water bottle solves that. So you can talk about the different problems that one item could solve. But basically what I'm trying to say here is if you have an idea for an invention, today we're not focused on coming up with that invention. We're focused on finding problems to solve for the Arctic Innovation Competition because, I'll go into more detail later, but you can kind of figure out the problem by looking at the item a lot of the times. So we're going to be finding the problems to solve today, and then we're going to be coming and looping through this, finding solutions, selecting a promising one, trying something, and getting feedback from each other. You're going to get a lot of feedback from me, and there are going to be times that I'm particularly harsh with my feedback, and it's not because I don't like you. Quite the opposite. In fact, it's because I want you to do really, really well. So if you can take my harsh feedback, I'm going to do my best to also build you up and say, like, I really like the way that you did this, this, and this. But here are the ways I think that you can improve. I have high expectations for you guys, and it's those high expectations that I think are going to and help to make your presentation convincing and potentially help you do well in the competition. I'm excited to see what you guys think of. So let's go over the different categories that are going to be judged. It's important to know that you're basically going to come up with your idea, you're going to type it up into the computer, you're going to send it in to the UAF School Business Management, and then a bunch of people are going to comb through all the ideas that are submitted and select a couple promising ones, and then those are going to go to the competition. Sorry, I'm recording quite late today. Those are going to go to the competition. Now, if you make it to the competition, you're automatically going to receive some amount of money. So that's exciting. But a lot of your idea has to do with how you answer these questions and how you're going to convince the judges. These are the categories on which you are judged. First is utility. What does this mean? So when utility, it really just means who's your product for? Who is your target audience? Okay. Every product you can imagine has a target audience they are targeting. For example, just look at toilet paper and the different varieties it exists in. You have your ultra soft, Charmin comfort wipers, and then you also have the giant 80 grit sandpaper single ply rolls that's marketed to the schools. Okay, so there's a toilet paper depending on marketed at different entities. So if you're marketing a school, you get the big roll. If you're marketing at a home or people that can afford Charmin quadruple ply ultra soft absorbent paper, that is they're marketing for maybe someone that can afford that. So who's your product for? You need to think about not just one of these things, but all these things. What's the age? Who's the location, occupation, income level? Every product has a target audience. How does your product solve a problem or an unmet need? We come back to that problem. Identifying that problem is going to be key. If your product does not solve a problem, why would anyone buy your product? Right? Something as simple as a chair solves a problem of being able to sit upright for hours on end. I got this bench right here. It's not very comfortable. If you have a nice chair, it can give you, just some of the problems that they solve are simple. Some of them can be complicated. Okay, so utility. How is your item used? How does it solve a problem? Who is it for? Who is it used by? Novelty is the next category, and this is probably the hardest one for people. But basically, how is your product new and exciting? There are a lot of products out there and a lot of things that we don't even know about. So how do we know that your product is exciting? How is it gonna get people pumped up? And how is it different than anything else that's been created? Now, some things can be improved upon, right? If, for example, if there's a product that you've been frustrated with in the past and you want to try and redesign that product to make it better, that's something that you can do. But if there's an improvement, that means there was a problem that needed to be solved. So there you go. You can do a product that's kind of already been invented, but you have to say how you're making an improvement. What makes your idea stand out? That one's pretty vague, but I think it can be kind of attributed to your answer from the beginning. Is there a patent for your product? So a patent is like a legal document that says no one else can produce your item for profit, and if they do, you can sue them and get a lot of money from them. So is there a patent for your product? Later I'm going to show you how to look for that. What has your research shown about similar ideas? So I would imagine, or I would encourage you guys, whatever you do, don't go out and look at what people have submitted to the Arctic Innovation Competition in the past. And here's why. I think you're going to get kind of closed-minded and you're going to see these solutions and you'll try and kind of just barely branch off of those solutions. And that's going to, I think that's going to kind of narrow your brain. And I don't want you to do that. I want you to think with like from the heart and think about things that really are problematic to you, and those are the problems that you're going to solve. So novelty and utility, how is it used? How is it new and exciting? Feasibility, you can have something new and exciting that is going to be extremely useful, like a teleporter, right? If I want to just teleport to work, that would be great. The problem is that would be really new and exciting. That would be super, super useful, but is it possible? I don't know if we have the science to back that up just yet. So one thing you want to do for feasibility is make sure you get feedback. Talk to me, talk to family and friends, and share your idea. People that you trust that aren't going to steal your idea, because it is possible the thing that you think of in class or something related to it might be something that ends up making you a lot of money in the competition and in the future, maybe in a career. Okay? What feedback have you received on your idea? Check with friends and family. What are the next steps for your product? Do you have a business plan? How are you going to get investors? How are you going to build a prototype? What does your prototype look like? Where are you going to get the materials for your prototype? Where are you going to get the skills to build your prototype? Maybe you can build a prototype. The person that won last year from North Pole did build a prototype. It was very simple and it took him about 15 minutes. The person before that did not build the prototype. They just did a drawing on paper and they still won $1,000. So you don't have to have a prototype for the competition, however it might be convincing. How would it be mass produced is a great question. Why does your product have the potential to be successful? Another person in the past, they wanted to, choosing the correct materials is going to be key for feasibility. If you want to be able to turn a profit on an item, that's a big thing as well. I think that's where value comes in. So it's also for feasibility. Like, how are you going to get the items that you need? How is your idea financially sound? If you look at something like blue jeans only cost a couple dollars to make, but they're sold for 50 or 60. The markup is incredible on a pair of blue jeans. So if you want to make a profit, you got to make sure you're able to mark it up and people are going to actually buy it at the price that you're selling, that you desire to sell it at, which means you need to try and make out of, cheap, reliable materials. Ideally, the perfect product would be inexpensive to make, would be sold for a large amount, and would be dependable for your customers, depending on what you're going for. What economic value will your product create? So economic value, I think of that as something that is going to be kind of bolstering the entire economy. For example, like a cell phone. A cell phone creates economic value because it allows people to stay in touch, which allows people to get more information quickly. People get in contact with another. Everything can happen faster, which means I think people can be more productive overall. Not every item maybe adds economic value, but it might a little bit, making people and households more efficient. You're also going to be graded on your presentation. Is it attention-grabbing, professional, clear, and concise? Is it long and wordy, or are you saying the things that you need to say? And you need to know how you're going to answer questions from judges. So after you present your ideas, some judges are going to ask you questions. They're local business leaders and people in town. So presenting how you present your ideas is going to be important as well. Okay, a couple notes here. You can submit multiple ideas. That is a possibility. Here are the prizes for the junior division, which is ages 13 through 17. It is possible that we could take all these positions. However, usually other schools submit as well. So keep your eyes on the prize, and you can win an honorable mention, or you can win fan favorite and something else. If you get second place in fan favorite, you'll take home $600, which is pretty exciting too. So this is for ages 13 through 17. If you are older than 17, you can enter into the main division, and the prize pool is a little bit larger, which is exciting. Your idea can but does not have to be a physical object. This is one in the past that was not a physical object. It was like an app or something. However, I want you to try and stay away from that if you can. You're going to have to be really convincing if you want to do a non-physical object. You're going to have to convince me that you have the know-how on how to answer all the questions and submit all your portions of the product or of the project to me, and still come up with a plan and get things done. So just if you have a cool idea, come and talk to me and we'll figure it out. The people that are sifting through ideas from UAF sign something that says they're not going to steal your idea, so your idea is protected there. I'm not sure necessarily about at the competition, but I think you'll have some witnesses saying when you presented the idea, so that's a good thing at least. If you would like to protect your idea, you can apply for a patent, where that process is quite expensive. Okay, it's put on the UAF School of Business Management and sponsored by Alaska Businesses. That's where the prize money comes from. All ideas are due March 19th, which is a ways from now, but I want to have time in the class next semester to also submit it before the deadline. Okay, now this slide is really key. This is probably the most important thing I've gone over for today. So what your assignment is today is you're going to be thinking of, you're going to answer some questions, and you're going to think of 3 problems to solve. And I want to talk about what those problems should look like. Here's some techniques for brainstorming problems and how you should write them. All problems, begin with it's uncomfortable when, or it's impossible to, or it would be useful if I could, I can't do this, but it would be nice to, kind of a thing. Okay, so I'm going to go through and help you brainstorm problems to solve. Remember, today is not about coming up with an invention. Today is about coming up with a problem, and here's why. Because in this project, there are so many times when students come and say, here's my idea. I know this is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to do. I swear, Mr. Schlegel. And then they pursue it, and they hit a brick wall. And then I say, you probably need to switch because this is too hard for you. And then they turn around and look at what else they could do, and they have a blank slate, and it's like a week before the project's due, and they don't know what they're going to do. So if you have a problem, or you have 3 good problems, at least if you hit a brick wall, or you decide that this is just not going to work out, you can look back at the problem and maybe approach it from another angle. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so it could be that you come and talk to me and I kind of poo-poo your idea after a while, and I want you to have some other ideas that you can go back to. So finding a problem at the beginning and not a solution is a great way to start. Okay, a great way to begin brainstorming is think of things that you don't like doing. What are some things that are very difficult to do, and how could they be made easier? Okay, what problems, and really sit and think about these. Don't rush through all 9 of these that I'm about to show you. What I want you to do is I want you to sit and maybe pause, think for a couple minutes about things you don't like doing and how you could invent something to make that easier. Problems that affect your family and friends. Okay, what are some problems that a lot of times we end up thinking about ourselves? What are some problems that maybe affect someone that we know? Maybe just a brief acquaintance. And how could I make their life a little bit better with an invention? That is a great way to start brainstorming. I'm sure you know people that are facing problems on a daily basis. So don't just think about the problems you face. Think about the problem that your family and friends face as well. What problems face our community? Okay, so you can think about us as a whole. What's going on in Fairbanks? What's going on in your area? What's going on in your neighborhood? And how could we combat those problems? Number 4, think of a time you were frustrated with a product. Think about something that broke, or something that, using this is not very enjoyable, and here's why. It's a great way to start. Think of something you wish existed. Now again, a lot of these, so this one sounds like a product, right? But really, you can think about number 4 and actually get a problem from that as well. Think about something you wish existed, okay? You know, maybe you want to be realistic, you want to be feasible with your idea, but that still, number 5 can still be possible. It's very hard when I try to do this, so I wish that there was something that could solve that problem. Think about a problem that affects you. We kind of already talked about that. What products are frequently wasted, and how could we reuse those products or materials? So the Fairbanks is not very good at recycling. And I'm not just talking about plastic bags and paper. I'm talking about all sorts of materials, any material. So can you think of anything that people waste on a regular basis that could be reused, and maybe that has value elsewhere? It could be repurposed. Number 8, think about an invention that you've wanted to make. What problem does that solve? So if you already have an idea, okay, again, I don't want you to write the idea down. I won't give you points if you just write the idea down. I want you to write down the problem that it solves and hang on to that idea for later. Write it down somewhere else. It's kind of like getting the item first, thinking about the problem that it solves later. And number 9, complete the sentence. It is difficult to, it is uncomfortable to, it is impossible to, it is very hard when, okay? Any sentence that starts like that is a problem. And that's actually how I want you to phrase your problems on your sheet. Don't just write, here's a problem, hunger, okay? Not a one-word thing. I want you to write who's hungry, where, because solving just hunger with one invention is not like, are you talking about dogs? You're talking about, be specific. Don't give me one-word answers for the problems that you write. Make sure they are written out and very descriptive. Okay, guys, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. I hope this was a helpful video for getting you to brainstorm your idea for the Arctic Innovation Competition. You do not need your invention today or for this assignment. You only need the problems that you think you might solve. That's it. Have a great night. It's pretty late. Okay, bye.